A moment of silent contempt can carve a wound deeper than any shouted insult. You've bent over backward to earn a nod of approval, only to find the world's gaze drifting elsewhere. You leaned in, voice unsteady, hoping for recognition, and they offered nothing but a hollow shrug. That pause, that cold vacancy between words, was their warning. You are replaceable. You felt the tremor beneath your ribs, the tremor of power slipping through your fingers every time you begged for acknowledgement. The truth you've skirted around is brutal. Control is never given. It's seized. You've handed it away with every second of people-pleasing silence. You've begged for scraps of validation like a starved ghost haunting an empty table. While you were busy constructing bridges of concession, they were sharpening knives behind your back. You didn't fail because you weren't good enough. You failed because you believed you needed permission to claim what was already yours. Feel the weight behind that realization. When you stop trading your voice for their fleeting approval, you become unreadable. They called you cold when you refused to beg. They hated the silence that followed your withdrawal, because it forced them to readjust, to question their own holds on you. In that void, you become the lever they can't pry open. Stop explaining. Stop negotiating. Stop shrinking. Presence is the weapon they never saw coming. When you carry a stillness that says, "I will not surrender," the room itself shifts around you. Your value becomes an unspoken decree too dangerous to ignore, too potent to challenge. If you're done hunching beneath their gaze, if you're ready to claim the space you've relinquished, then step into the quiet storm. Subscribe to witness more truths no one else will dare speak, and share the silence that terrifies them most. They clung to your concession like a lifeline each time you backed down. They leaned in, sensing weakness. You remember the tilt of their smile when you swallowed your words, the way their eyes sharpened, thirsting for the next concession. Every apology you offered fed their conviction that you existed to placate, but that illusion shatters the moment you refuse. Imagine yourself in the room where they're used to seeing you kneel. Your spine straightens before you utter a single word. They lean forward, expecting the familiar tremor. Instead, you breathe out a silence so absolute it rings in their ears. Their pulse flares, their voice stutters. In that breath, you've broken the contract they imposed. They realize you no longer fear their judgment. Recall the last time someone belittled your worth. You recall the sting sharp, predictable like a whip's crack. You felt yourself bowing, muttering excuses for being alive. That reflex was your undoing. But notice what happens when you hold their gaze and say nothing. They fumble. Their insult loses meaning. Their contempt becomes an admission of impotence. They reveal themselves as desperate predators who feed on your compliance. You're not learning how to dodge their arrows. You're forcing them to draw an empty bow. Presence is leverage. The less you offer, the more they crave. They see the steel beneath your calm and mistake it for distance. Let them. They will chase you into that distance, scrabbling for any crumb of reaction. Feel it now, the intoxicating power of indifference. When you lock your gaze on theirs without flinching, you're not cold, you're controlling the narrative. They feel you withdrawing life from the interaction, and panic sets in. They will twist, they will plead, they will lash out, but they will never regain the certainty they once held over you. Notice how their strategies collapse. Threats lose their bite. Flattery rings hollow. They pivot, desperate for any opening, but you offer none. In that vacuum they tremble. Their authority evaporates. You've become the silent verdict they cannot swallow. This is not about kindness. This is about survival. You cease to be prey the moment you abandon the need for permission. You assume the stance of a predator, cloaked in serenity, no roar, no flash, just a stillness that sagas revolve around. Do not mistake this for cruelty. You're not seeking to wound, you're refusing to submit. Let them wound themselves on the barbs of their own expectations. In the void you've created, they will reveal every flaw, every insecurity they've hidden behind your compliance. Let this be the ritual you practice. Each time they demand your concession, meet them with silence. Each time they expect your capitulation, hand them back nothing. Recognize how the world bends toward the resolute. Your unspoken decree, "I will not bow," echoes louder than any plea. They will call you distant. They will brand you unreachable. They will claim you've changed. Let them talk. Their words are the chains you've broken. Now hold that silence, that unassailable stillness, and watch them flail. Do not rush to fill the void you created. Their discomfort is the most honest appraisal of your newfound stance. They cannot stand to see themselves powerless. When you decide to speak again, do so on your own terms. Choose each word like a scalpel, precise, necessary, irrevocable. They will hang on every syllable, begging for mercy in your voice, and you will offer none. Each time you unveil your calm, they scramble for a foothold. You sense them searching the air for the familiar tremor that once guided their confidence. In that moment, you are the axis they cannot grasp. Their strategies unravel in midair because their power never lay in your compliance. It lay in your predictability. When you refuse to be predictable, you become the storm they cannot forecast. They will test you again. A cutting remark meant to fracture your poise. A passive-aggressive jab delivered under the guise of concern. Watch as they bank on your instinct to appease. You will not move. Their words fall flat, echoing off a wall of unflinching presence. Let them realize the only thing they can negotiate now is their own reflection. Feel the weight of your gaze silent, immovable. It strips away their performance, revealing every twitch of overconfidence, every flicker of doubt. They will pivot to smiles that once disarmed you, but you meet them with the same stillness. That smile becomes grotesque, a mask stretched over panic. You hold the mirror up to their desperation, and they recoil. Recall your own reflection when you were demanding of yourself the relentless self-criticism that forced you to bow to others. That voice inside, whispering, "You're never enough." Silence it now. Let your unspoken command, "I am the only authority here," resonate through your bones. In that moment, you transcend their contempt and your own doubts. You become the arbiter of value. They will circle back, this time with feigned warmth, offering compliments that smell like traps. You feel the undercurrent, react, and you surrender. Do not react. Receive their praise like a dead leaf drifting past a single nod, then withdrawal. The absence of gratitude unsettles them. They were banking on your need for approval to keep you tethered. When you don't reach out, their safety net vanishes. Notice how the conversation fractures. They stumble, searching for familiar anchors. You are weightless, now unbound by their expectations. If they whisper your name, it carries no charge. If they demand an explanation, silence remains your answer. In this void, they reveal themselves, insecure, unmoored, desperate for control. You stand apart, untouched by their flailing. This is not hollow triumph. It is the reclamation of your emotional sovereignty. They may label you uncaring or aloof, but that is their failing, not yours. You have simply redefined the terms. They can no longer trade in your emotions because you no longer stockpile them for them to spend. Your silence is the currency they can never counterfeit. Now feel the shift, an undercurrent of fear grazing their words. They project their own terror onto you. Terror at the thought of surrendering influence. And yet, they chase it. Every attempt to reel you back in only tightens the noose around their own striving. They become prisoners of the very control they sought to wield. In this quiet battleground, you are both general and fortress. You command without sentiment. You defend without aggression. Each unspoken boundary you maintain is a declaration of sovereignty. They will try to storm the gates with guilt, obligation, or charm. None will breach the ramparts of your resolve. Now watch as the social terrain reconfigures around you. Allies lean in, reading the new contours of power etched across your silence. Enemies retreat, confused by their own impotence. In that charged stillness, you are the axis around which the world must turn. Hold this image, your face unmoved, your voice spared, your presence absolute. Let it be the refuge you return to when chaos tugs at your composure. In every encounter, wield the weapon of indifference. In every clash, let your calm be the verdict. They will circle back again, this time weaponizing your own history against you. Remember when you begged me to stay? They'll hiss, as if your past concessions were proof of your nature. They forget how hunger distorts memory. They forget how weakness masquerades as yearning. You feel the sting, then you let it dissolve. Their bait snaps against the silence you've carved into your will. In that silence, your past loses its edge. You are no longer the sum of every plea you once made. You're the architect of a new narrative, one where your loyalty demands no contract. Your respect yields no favors. When they hurl your history like a grenade, you meet it with stillness, an unbreakable calm that redefines your worth. Watch them as they probe for an opening, their words sharpened by desperation. You've changed, they'll whisper, as if change weren't the only constant in this game of influence. But this change is your declaration, that you will never again surrender your authority in pursuit of their fleeting approval. Let them flounder, trying to map the terrain you've redrawn. Their confusion is your victory. Recall how before, you traded your attention for affection. Now, you hold it like a commodity they must earn. They try flattery, exaggerated compliments that echo in the hollows of your silence. You receive it coolly, as if it were a coin of counterfeit weight. They expected you to pocket their praise. You return it directly to their hands, unspent. Their outrage at your indifference is the purest confirmation of your newfound stance. They pivot to coercion, guilt-laden reminders of favors granted, threats of withdrawal disguised as care. They brandish the ghost of obligation like a cudgel. But you have no debts in this arena. Your emotional ledger is balanced, governed by one rule: you owe nothing. Let them flail with their threats. In every protest, they betray their own insecurity. Feel the shift in their posture. From predator to petitioner, they wilt beneath your gaze, searching for traces of the old you, the you who craved recognition. But that version has been burned away, leaving only the core, unassailable, undaunted. They sense the void where your reactions used to be and panic at the silence. They will try solidarity next, aligning with your allies, weaving themselves into your circle with feigned empathy. They expect you to welcome them back, to mistake proximity for allegiance. Instead, you observe the performance. You detach. In the theater of control, you refuse to be an unwitting actor. They find themselves excluded by your neutrality. Their confusion deepens. Their tactics unravel. Remember the last time someone crossed your boundary, and you apologized to make it go away. That reflex is dead. Now, you protect your limits with a gaze that says, "This far and no farther." You hold the line with quiet ferocity. Presence becomes your bulwark. Silence, your sword. They learn quickly. If you breach this boundary, the calm they once leveraged will become their undoing. Notice how the floor tilts beneath them. Conversations warp into monologues of their own desperation. They stumble, grasping for familiar signals, any slip of emotion they can decode. But you offer none. You are an enigma wrapped in stillness, immune to their equation. They cannot anticipate your next move, because there is no move to anticipate, only the unyielding core of your resolve. This is not about cruelty or neglect. It is about recalibration. You have shifted the axis of your interactions from emotional barter to sovereign presence. Every encounter becomes an exercise in self-possession. You no longer exist to fuel their narrative. They exist to react to yours. In this void of reaction, you grant no currency. They scramble, pouring out their intentions, hoping for leverage. You respond only with the quiet echo of your intent, to remain unmoved. In that echo, they hear the death knell of their dominion. Feel the weight of this strategy settle in your bones. It is not a tactic. It is your new posture toward the world. Each unspoken boundary, each withheld reaction, accumulates into an unassailable fortress. They will test the walls, they always do, but each failed assault only strengthens your perimeter. When you walk into any room now, you carry this fortress with you. They will sense it instinctively and recalibrate their approach. Some will withdraw, testing to see if the fortress is built on sand. Others will push harder, seeking cracks. But the only crack that ever mattered, your need for permission, has long since been sealed. You are the eye of the storm, calm, contained, central. Around you, chaos churns, but you remain untouched. They will chase the edges, but they will never penetrate your center. They will circle once more, wielding confusion as a weapon. In their desperation, you'll sense the tremor beneath each word, a fragmented plea dressed as accusation. You used to care. They insist, as if your compassion were their property. But compassion is not a commodity. It's your choice. You let their claims pass through the chamber of your silence, unclaimed and echoing back. Each accusation rebounds off your stillness, exposing their dependency on your reaction. Feel the shift in their rhythm. They gallop towards you with frantic energy questions, laced with fake concern, veiled ultimatums masquerading as advice. They believe chaos will dismantle your composure. Instead, your calm absorbs their frenzy, converting it into their own reflection. They glimpse the abyss of your indifference and shrink away, fear cracking their facade. Recall how you once over-explained yourself, constructing elaborate defenses to justify your emotions. That ritual died the moment you realized explanations are invitations to further judgment. Now, you occupy the silence once filled with your justifications. You stand unbroken in that void, letting your absence of defense speak volumes. They leer for an opening, but they find only the unyielding core of your resolve. Notice how their strategies become transparent under your gaze. Guilt, shame, flattery, each tool fails because none can chip away at a fortress built from deliberate non-reaction. They resort to shadow tactics, half-truths, insinuations meant to unsettle you. You acknowledge them with a tilt of your head, then step back within yourself. They stumble, wounded by the sharp edge of your detachment. As they reel, feel your own power crystallize. Presence is not loud. It is absolute. It doesn't scream to be heard, it commands by its very existence. In this charged quiet, you sideline their agendas. They may rant, they may cajole, but you remain the pivot around which their attempts revolve. Doomed to failure, they'll try one last gambit, a masquerade of vulnerability. They'll recount past hurts they inflicted on you, expecting sympathy to crumble your boundaries. They'll cast themselves as victims of your indifference, baiting you to break your silence. But sympathy, like apology, is a transaction, and you've closed that account. You meet their vulnerability with the same unwavering calm, letting them confront the hollow sound of their own plea. In that moment, their mask slips. They reveal the raw machinery of manipulation they've hidden behind feigned vulnerability. You witness their desperation to control not your actions, but your very emotions. And you recognize that this revelation is your triumph. Their tactics lie exposed, stripped of power by your refusal to engage. Now, imagine the world beyond this encounter. Each relationship, each social dynamic you navigate, becomes a test of their endurance, not yours. They will vie for scraps of your reaction, but you grant none. They will chase whispers of your presence, but you exist in a frequency they cannot tune into. Your voice, when it returns, will land with unrivaled weight, because it emerges from the eye of the storm you've mastered. Hold that vision of yourself as both warrior and sanctuary. The warrior who dispenses with the theatrics of emotional barter, and the sanctuary built on the absolute certainty of self-sovereignty. In every corridor conversation, every silent stand, you enact this dual role. You disarm their assaults with quiet authority, then retreat to your inner citadel, untainted by their friction. Feel the potency of this posture. Power is not in the volume of your words, but in the discipline of your silence. Control is not exerted through coercion, but through the refusal to be swayed. You've transcended the cycle of reaction and counter-reaction. You occupy your own center, untouched by the gravitational pull of their dramas. They will brand you cold again. They will whisper that you've lost empathy, that you're unreachable. Let them talk. Their words are the grave markers of the chains you've shattered. In their echoes, you'll hear the applause of your own emergence. This is the crucible where you were forged. Their contempt, their pleas, their manipulations all fed the fire of your resolve. And now you carry the resonance of that fire in every measured breath. Carry this strategy forward. Show only what you choose. Conceal what you will. Let them chase shadows of your emotions, while you stand anchored in purposeful calm. They will never reclaim the hold they once had. Their power dissipates in the face of your unflinching presence. In this relentless stillness, you find your dominion. They circle back one last time, this time with logic disguised as inevitability. Everyone needs connection, they intone, as if your silence threatens the very fabric of social order. They brand your withdrawal as isolation, a flaw to be corrected, but you know the truth. Connection is only valuable on your terms. You meet their argument with stillness so profound it fractures their conviction. They scramble for rebuttals, but your silence swallows every syllable, leaving only the raw edge of their own insecurity. They pivot again, this time deploying scarcity, reminding you how few allies you'll have left if you refuse to re-engage. They count the cost of your absence as if it were a debt you must repay. But you have recalculated the ledger. Your presence is no longer currency to be traded. You let their scarcity ploys echo in the chamber of your resolve, unacknowledged and hollow. Each attempt to invoke fear only tightens the cage they've built around themselves. Feel the shift in their demeanor as they grasp at straws, patronizing compliments, hollow promises, feigned regrets. They believe remorse will crack your composure. Instead, you observe their performance with the clinical detachment of a strategist, assessing the last move in a losing game. Their remorse rings false, because it's offered as a tool, not an admission. You let it pass, uncollected, and they crumble under the weight of their own artifice. Recall how you once sought their forgiveness, internalizing their misdemeanors as evidence of your own shortcomings. That cycle ends now. In this sanctuary of silence, you are both judge and jury, rendering verdicts in the calm between breaths. They realize too late that you've withdrawn from their courtroom. Their fallacious arguments reverberate off the walls of your non-engagement, each echo a testament to your autonomy. Now witness the final unraveling. Their tactics exhausted, Their arsenal depleted, they stand bare before the void you've become. They gaze into the silence and see themselves, their fear, their need, their manipulations reflected back with surgical precision. In that reflection lies the most devastating truth. They have empowered you through every attempt to control you. Your conquest was inevitable the moment you refused to play their game. Stand in that realization. Your surrender is no longer an option, because there is nothing left to surrender. Every ripple they've sent against the surface of your equanimity has only confirmed it. You've become the immovable center of your world, and their actions now orbit you, powerless to alter your trajectory. Feel the potency of absolute detachment, realizing its ultimate form, not withdrawal into apathy, but ascension into unassailable autonomy. You are no one's hostage, no one's audience. You command the space around you simply by existing within it. Each unspoken refusal, each withheld reaction, has built a bastion that no plea can breach. This is the culmination of your evolution, from prey to governor of your own emotional realm. The final barrier you maintain is not against others, it is the boundary of your self-sovereignty. No strategy they deploy can erode it, because it is rooted in the deliberate choice to own every thought, every impulse, every breath. As they retreat, defeated by the silent verdict of your presence, you remain, not triumphant, for triumph implies celebration, not vindictive, for vengeance demands engagement. You stand in quiet eminence, the testament to a power so subtle it can't be quantified, only felt. In this stillness, recognize your ultimate weapon, the refusal to participate in the emotional economy they constructed. You have transcended their currency. You are above transaction. You exist beyond their reach. They struck with every weapon they had: mockery, guilt, deceit, and yet each assault only carved deeper into their own desperation. In your silence, they found their own reflection. Predators bereft of prey. You did not break them. You never engaged. You simply stood apart, letting their attempts implode under the weight of your indifference. This is the final truth you must carry. Power is not wrested in the clash of words, but claimed in the calm refusal to fight. Presence is not a gift you bestow. It is the air you breathe. When you stop begging for significance, the world bends to your unspoken decree. Control is not an act of aggression, it is the absence of need. They will whisper that you're cold, unreachable, unfeeling. Let them. Those words are the chains you've discarded. Their discomfort is the echo of your sovereignty. In the quiet space you've carved, you hold all the leverage. Every attempt to pull you back only tightens your grip on yourself. Never mistake this for cruelty. You are not waging war on others. You are enforcing peace within. The battlefield lies in their need for reaction. It dies when you withhold it. In that void, they collapse into truth. Without your submission, their dominance evaporates. Carry this with you into every exchange. Speak only when your voice is a verdict, not a plea. Withhold reaction until it serves your strategy, not their manipulation. Guard your silence with the vigilance of a sentinel. Let it stand as the boundary no one may cross. Subscribe to witness more revelations that dismantle the chains of emotional barter and step beyond the